All right. Hard Talk Radio, live in 4K.
Week was a bad week for Republicans. Here are three reasons why Republicans are getting so frustrated right now. For starters, Trump did not expect Mexico and Canada to both stand up to his tariff threat by responding with potential tariffs of their own, a move that has left the incoming president absolutely humiliated on the world stage. Then you have Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, who are furious about millions of people leaving X and Meta to sign up for Blue Sky Social. Blue Sky is created by the original Twitter team and feels a lot like old Twitter before Elon turned X into Trump's personal campaign platform. I'm personally loving Blue Sky, where I post every day. Link is in my bio if you want to find my page. Lastly, Tulsi Gabbard's nomination for Director of National Intelligence is in a state of complete limbo, as Trump's pick for DNI has shown repeated connections to both Russia and Syria that may serve as a conflict of national interest. This is, of course, not the only Trump nominee that has stalled in recent weeks, since he didn't actually pick the best people for the jobs. He just hand-selected people who provided him favors. Trump isn't even president again yet, and he's already making Republicans second-guess their vote.
Hate to say it, but I mean, a lot of Trump supporters are having Trump regret syndrome. That's basically it. Trump regret syndrome. That's the best way I could put it. All right. And he thinks people are scared of him. They're not scared of him. People are not scared of him. Trump tariffs threats create division between Canada and Mexico over security at borders. Mexico City Associated Press threats by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to impose tariffs has created a split between Canada and Mexico after Canadian officials said problems with the two countries' borders shouldn't be compared. On Monday, Mexico's president rejected those comments, which were made following a meeting between Trump and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Mexico must be respected, especially by its trading partners, President Claudia Sheinbaum said, after Canada's ambassador to the U.S., Christian Hillman, told the Associated Press on Sunday that the message that our border is so vastly different than the Mexican border was really understood. Sheinbaum said Canada had its own problems with fentanyl consumption and could only wish they had the cultural riches Mexico has. Trump has threatened to impose 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico unless they stem the flow of migrants and drugs. Flows of migrants and seizures of drugs at the two countries' borders are vastly different. U.S. Customs agents seized 43 pounds of fentanyl at the Canadian border during the last fiscal year, compared to 21,100 pounds at the Mexican border. Mexico's efforts to seize fentanyl before it reaches the U.S. have been lackluster. Most of the fentanyl reaching the U.S., where it causes about 70,000 overdose deaths annually, is made by Mexican drug cartels using precursor chemicals smuggled from Asia. On immigration, the U.S. Border Patrol made 56,530 arrests at the Mexican border in October alone, while there were only 23,721 arrests at the Canadian border between October 2023 and September 2024. During the same period, U.S. Customs and Border Protection report 1.53 million encounters with migrants at the southwest border with Mexico. Mexico feels especially hurt by Canadian comments because Mexican officials claim their government went to bat for Canada in the past. They claim that Trump, during his first term, initially wanted to leave Canada out of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement in 2018, and Mexico demanded it be included. It is unclear if that was actually the case. Trudeau also got ahead of Sheinbaum by meeting with U.S. President-elect first. Both leaders are scrambling to get some assurances before Trump takes office. Hillman said Canada is ready to make new investments in border security, and there are plans for more helicopter, drones, and law enforcement officers. She also noted an agreement between Canada and the U.S. that allows for migrants caught crossing illegally to be sent back to Canada. She said Mexico and the U.S. do not have a similar agreement. On Monday, Sheinbaum revealed more about her own conversation last week with Trump, saying he had agreed that Mexico wanted to focus on intelligence sharing and anti-drug efforts, noting that he said that in his opinion that was good. But she said Mexico would reject any U.S. intervention in Mexico and continue to enforce the tight restrictions on U.S. law enforcement agencies in Mexico imposed by her predecessor. That is going to be maintained, she said. All right. So as you can see, they're not afraid. Okay. No one is afraid of Mexico. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So let's get into what's going on here. About how they're feeling disrespected by Trump. Trump is nobody's friend, man. That's just an honest to God truth. Trump is nobody's friend. That's just something that people are going to have to learn. Here's what a Canadian official says about Trump's terrorist threat. It's like a family member stabbing you in the back. Yeah, well, you supported this guy. You supported him.
We received the biggest threat we've ever received from our closest friends and ally, from President-elect Trump, that they're threatening to put a 25% tariff on all goods coming across the border into the U.S. and Mexico. What I found unfair about the comments is to compare us to Mexico. And I can tell you, Canada is no Mexico. We do approximately, just Ontario alone, $500 billion of two-way trade. I found his comments unfair. I found them insulting. It's like a family member stabbing you right in the heart. Well, hopefully we won't come to that, but if it does, there is no choice.
I'm not saying that they voted for him, but a person like Trump.
We have to retaliate. We have to retaliate, not against the Americans, the administration that has made a wrong call on this. It's very simple. And you ask any American, and I know thousands of Americans, and endless governors and senators and congressmen and women, if they feel Canada is a threat. I want to emphasize, to compare us to Mexico is the most insulting thing I've ever heard from our friends and closest allies, the United States of America.
Insulting? Wait a minute. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say it's insulting. That sounds kind of racist. I'm just going to be honest, it sounds kind of racist. You should say that, listen, Trump, our borders are different from Mexico's borders. That's it. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say it's insulting because it makes it feel that you think Mexicans are beneath you. I'm telling you, man, a lot of people were, okay with Trump coming into office and voted for him. Mainly it was whites, is because he was a white savior to people. That's what he was. He was a white savior. And things fell apart, okay, when he started to understand that, oh, wow, this tariff thing could be bad for us. But you guys didn't even look up what a tariff is. You just trusted him because he was white, just like you. That's it. That's what it was. He was white, just like you. That's what made you vote for him. Let's see about how Trump's tariffs could impact small businesses and consumers.
Automobiles to everyday tools, you could end up having sticker shock.
Our prices would go up. We would be paying more for every object that came from China, Mexico, Canada. Therefore, we'd have to put that on to the customer.
Debbie Kavorius owns New York City-based Columbus Hardware, which has been around for decades. Almost everything in her store is imported.
This is our hardware section. 95% of this comes from China.
And what about Canada and Mexico? What about some of those?
Some of these bulbs come from Mexico, but a lot of them come from China, but a lot of the cleaning supplies come from Mexico.
The three countries targeted
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
are America's three largest trading partners. Last year altogether, they accounted for $1.3 trillion in imported goods. China is key for items like electronics and furniture. Mexico for produce and plastics. Canadian exports include aluminum and lumber. For example,
Let's rewind that part right there. I'm going to go all the way back here. Okay.
95%.
95% of this comes from China. Okay. So this is going to hurt the construction industry. This is going to hurt the trades.
And this comes from China.
And what about Canada and Mexico? What about some of those?
Some of these bulbs come from Mexico, but a lot of them come from China. But a lot of the cleaning supplies come from Mexico.
the three countries
Cleaning businesses now. If you're into cleaning houses and apartments, this is going to hurt you.
targeted are America's three largest trading partners. Last year altogether, they accounted for $1.3 trillion in imported goods. China is key for items like electronics and furniture. Mexico for produce and plastics. Canadian exports include aluminum and lumber. For example, analysts predict the
You want your house fixed? You want to build a house? You're going to pay a ton of money now.
average price of a car coming from Canada or Mexico could increase as much as $3,000 with a 25% tariff. Debbie also warned retailers like Amazon can keep prices lower because of their size. As a small business, she could lose those buyers forever.
One argument for tariffs is leverage. There's a key trade deal with Mexico and Canada. It's up for review in 2026.
This is what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm saying. People really, it's not make America great again. It's make America poor. Make America poor again. Woo! Oh, man. Ooh, this is going to be harsh, man. Oh, man. This is, I don't know what to say, man. A lot of people were thinking, they were thinking that you were gonna, you thought you were really gonna do something. You thought you were gonna step on the minorities. You're gonna screw over everyone. And you were gonna rise on top. That's what you thought. That's what you thought. Then you realize at this moment you screwed up. Let's hear about how China outsmarted the U.S. in the sanctions. All right.
Other countries objecting to China's grand plan to become a technology superpower.
The U.S. is digging itself into a hole so deep it might not be able to climb out.
Is the U.S. pushing the world into a new Cold War? You see, for decades, the U.S. has been the puppet master, pulling the strings of global trade, economy, and politics. But what if we told you that the very tactics America used to stay on top, sanctions, trade wars, and all the other goodies, are now backfiring in the most unexpected ways? Yeah, we are talking about the U.S. digging itself into a hole so deep it might not be able to climb out. The U.S. has played a dangerous game for years, throwing sanctions like confetti, imposing tariffs like they're candy, and pushing nations around like it's still the 1990s.
I will impose whatever tariffs are required, 100%, 200%, 1,000%. They're not going to sell one car into the United States.
But guess what? The world is finally waking up and saying, we don't have to take this anymore. Countries are waking up to the fact that they can build alliances, create their trade.
This is why you got BRICS. This is why you got BRICS with the dollar. They're getting sick of the American dollar and bullied.
Roots and thrive without playing by Washington's rules. Welcome to the multipolar world, where the U.S. isn't the center anymore. As we dig in, we're going to look at how these backfiring strategies are pushing nations to rebel against the old guard. The result? A world that doesn't need the U.S. to thrive, and that's a problem the U.S. is only beginning to realize. So, how are U.S. sanctions backfiring? Sanctions were once the ultimate weapon in the U.S.'s global arsenal. Need to make a country bend to your will? Slap them with some crippling sanctions, freeze their assets, and watch them squirm. The problem? That strategy is officially broken. Take Russia, for example. The US slapped sanctions after the Ukraine crisis, thinking it would isolate Moscow and force them to cave. Instead, Russia teamed up with China and turned the whole situation into a global challenge to the West. Enter BRICS, an economic powerhouse that's getting stronger by the minute and starting to act as a counterbalance to the Western financial systems that have long dominated global trade. You know what's funny? While the US was trying to punish Russia, they were busy building an alternative global financial system with China. Russia, along with its new best friend China, is slowly distancing itself from the US dollar, with both countries working on digital currencies to make sure they're never held hostage by the US again. And did we mention that they're pushing for other countries to do the same? Suddenly the US is getting a taste of its own medicine. But wait, it gets juicier. Countries like Brazil, India, and even Iran are jumping on the BRICS bandwagon, all because US sanctions showed them that they don't have to rely on the US to survive. Instead of isolating nations, these sanctions have forced them to come together, creating a new world order that doesn't depend on Washington's whims. And you know what's coming next? The US is watching this, and it's scary. You want to talk about a miscalculation? Let's talk about the US trade wars. You know, the one with China, the one where the US thought it could throw a bunch of tariffs at China and make them bend. Instead, China just flexed, and now the whole world is watching. And let us tell you, the US is not looking good. Here's the secret the US didn't expect. Every time it slapped tariffs on China, it opened up a world of opportunities for other nations. Suddenly, countries are realizing that they can break free from the US and
all they have to do, all these nations got to do, if you slap in tariffs on all of them, they just got to work together among themselves. That's it. That was a stupid idea. And here Trump comes with, I got a beautiful, he was on the Joe Rogan show. I got a beautiful word, you know, this beautiful word called tariffs. Tariff is a beautiful word. We're going to use the tariffs. We're going to use them against, you know, China, Mexico, Canada, and we'll make them bend to America. Oh, they said, screw you, man. We're going to work. We're just going to put tariffs on you now. So who's hurting here? And we're in a recession. Us. The sad thing is, like, I can't believe you guys claim to be smart. And I'm talking about these MAGA people, the ones that voted for Trump, the racist whites who voted for Trump, and you blacks who voted for Trump too. You didn't look up a tariff. You just voted for Trump. You trusted this man. And now you're all figuring out that you got to pay. Man, the leopards were eating your face this Christmas. And
create their trade networks.
For good 4 years.
Enter the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, China's ambitious project to connect the world with infrastructure, investments, and trade routes that leave the U.S. in the dust. While the U.S. was busy picking fights, China was building its empire of global trade that was leaving American dominance in the rearview mirror. But it's not just China. Take Japan and South Korea, two countries that were supposed to be in the U.S.'s back pocket. But after the collapse of the Trans-Pacific Partnership TPP, these countries have started pivoting toward China. Japan and South Korea are now deeply involved in China's Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, which is quickly becoming the new standard for trade in Asia. And guess what? The US is not invited. The irony here is delicious. The more the US tries to hold on to its control, the more it's pushing countries into China's arms. And now, China is sitting pretty as the new leader in global trade. America? Well, it's stuck in a trade war it doesn't know how to win. So, as the US faces off with China, the rest of the world is moving on, leaving Washington to watch as its power fades into the background. But don't worry, we've got more coming. The global South is rising, and it's about to make the US rethink its entire approach. The US is slowly losing its hold on the global South. And no, this isn't some slow, gradual process. It's happening fast, and it's a big problem for Washington. Why? Because these countries are done playing by America's rules. Look at BRICS. No longer just a joke or a side project, BRICS is now the real deal. They're no longer taking orders from the US or the IMF. Instead, these nations are teaming up to create a new financial order that's based on their needs, not Washington's. And guess who's not invited to that party? The US. But it's not just BRICS. The African Union AU is flexing its muscles, and countries all across Latin America and Asia are saying, thanks, but no thanks to US influence. They're rejecting US-backed institutions and looking for partners who actually have their interests at heart, not just a bunch of strings attached. As China invests more in Africa, it's becoming clear that these countries don't need the US to thrive anymore. China's Belt and Road Initiative has become the new standard for developing.
My issue with China is the fact that they're going to be building their own police. They built their own police stations and built their own hospital, their own stores and hospitals, and they don't want black people in those hospitals. That's my issue with China. And there's been many incidents of Chinese business owners, beating and sometimes deleting black workers. There's also been incidences of Chinese businessmen going over there and making African women single moms. So I have an issue with China coming to Africa.
Nations. Rather than begging the U.S. for foreign aid and development loans, countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America are building real infrastructure with China, and it's paying off. These regions are slowly gaining the autonomy they've long been denied, and they're doing it without Washington's approval. Now, as the U.S. loses its grip, we're left with one big question. Can the U.S. survive in a world where it no longer has control over the global South? The answer is probably no. So, is the U.S. ready for a multipolar world? We're at a crossroads now. The U.S. has spent decades at the top of the global hierarchy, pulling the strings and telling everyone what to do. But now, with China, Russia, and other rising powers gaining strength, the question is, can the U.S. handle being knocked off its throne? The U.S. has always resisted a multipolar world.
It will probably not be able. Probably not. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. And we're seeing a backlash from having these tariffs. People trying to say that I keep, trying to tell people Trump is not this maverick. He's not this guy. Like I said before, he tried to tell Putin, you know what? I want you to stop this war with Ukraine. You know what Putin did? I'll tell you again. He took the man's wife's nude pics and put them all over his state, over his country's state TV. It's all over the internet. That shows you how Putin has no respect for Trump. None. He ain't no maverick. He a punk in this game. China bans exports to U.S. of gallium, germanium, antimony in response to chip sanctions.
And now it started. The craziest thing I have always said about the narrative that the Republicans manage finances at the government level better than the Democrats. Well, for one, if that's true, why all the red states is the poorest? Now, here y'all go.
It's a fact. Appalachia, all these red states, they're poor. And they still voting Republican. Poor whites.
Pulling y'all sticks out, trying to brag about what y'all gonna do as of January 20th, not even knowing, don't play with them. They ain't gotta wait till January 20th. They could do what they want to do right now. And my baby, let me tell you, this right here about to hurt. If you're not in IT like me, and you may not get what this means, but we don't make no chips over here without this stuff. We barely make the chips here now. This is about to hurt our economy, something big. Now we all got a FAFO because y'all swear Trump is better at managing this country. Look at what happened just from him putting words out about what he's going to do as of January 20th. China said, oh, we play chess over here, not checkers. Y'all get ready. This is about to be a bumpy ride these 4 years. And for all of y'all that supported this, I'ma smile. Because I'm going to put my seatbelt on. And we going to make it through these 4 years. But some of y'all about to be hurting from that type of stuff. Like, he said, I don't got to wait till you president. I hear you. I hear you. Let me hit you with the he.
Facts. The facts. Okay. And he just keeps he just keeps going, man. He just keeps going. He just keeps destroying. All right. This is why I think about this all being a this all being a script, an act, because it seems like Trump is just hired to be demolition work, to just destroy America for the new world order. That's what I just see it that way. This is what he says to Trudeau. This is what he says.
When Canadian Prime Minister, according to Fox, when Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau went to Mar-a-Lago this weekend to try to talk Trump out of his 25% tariff threat, Trump apparently suggested that if Canada can't handle the tariffs that would violate the NAFTA upgrade Trump himself signed into law, the USMCA, they should just become the 51st state. Just become this 51st state instead and allow Trudeau to be reduced to governor of the state of Canada.
He basically calling him a peasant. Give up your prime minister. You know, if you can't handle it, just be under me. Be my slave. This is the disrespect Trump is about. He wants a dictatorship and he wants to talk to people like they are peasants. This is who he is. This is who you voted for.
Which caused the prime minister and others to laugh nervously. And while some are writing that off as just a joke, just a few hours ago, Trump posted,
that is not a joke. This is the person that when he was asked, are you going to be a dictator? He said, no, just on day one. Look, you all better start talking about food, water, and means to protect yourselves. Because this man is he's going to be he's going to be the mustache man. He's going to be the mustache man. That's what he's going to be.
This obviously AI photo of him standing on a mountaintop next to the Canadian flag, looking off into the distance with the caption, "Oh, Canada." And for the record, he appears to be looking at the Matterhorn, which is on the border between Switzerland and Italy, not Canada. Oh, and let's not forget, this is the same Donald Trump who at one point seriously wanted to buy the nation of Greenland, even possibly trade it for Puerto Rico.
I can understand why people want to cut off others for voting for Trump. I don't agree with it. Okay. But I'm starting to see reasons why. I'm just starting to see. Okay. I'm starting to see it because there's a lot of there's a lot to voting for Trump, knowing who he is, the dirt on this man, the dirt. I mean, I was finding out more about him, in 2019, 2020. And just the more I found out about him, it's like, there is no way I would vote for this man for a second term. I would not vote a second term for this man. All right. Because this man is, he's evil. He's just as bad as Biden. Okay. That is a fact. All right. I'm trying to look for Pete Hegseth. This is that's the next one I'm going on. Here we are. Okay. So this is who we're getting at now. Here we go.
Donald Trump's pick to lead the world's most powerful military is facing new questions tonight. The concerns stem from new reports that former Fox News host Pete Hegseth was forced out at 2 veterans groups because of alleged financial and sexual misconduct. We get details from Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes.
Talking to all the senators, and I look forward to those discussions.
The newly resurfaced accusations followed Pete Hegseth to Capitol Hill today. CBS News has confirmed the Army veteran and Fox News host was forced to step down as head of the nonprofit Concerned Veterans for America in 2016. The group's founders, billionaire Republican donors Charles and David Koch, pushed Hegseth out after staffers accused him of financial mismanagement, sexual misconduct, and repeated intoxication. According to The New Yorker, which first reported about the complaints, Hegseth sometimes got drunk to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events.
Can you tell us why you resigned, sir?
CBS's Nicole Killian asked Hegseth about that today between Senate meetings.
When you were at Concerned Veterans for America, were you ever drunk while traveling on the job?
Not going to dignify that with a response.
Hegseth, who has been tapped by President-elect Trump to overhaul the massive Department of Defense, was already dealing with allegations that he sexually assaulted a woman at a Republican convention in Monterey, California in 2017. But he was never criminally charged. And Alabama Senator Tommy...
You could just see that Trump doesn't care about morals. He cares about loyalty. He doesn't give a damn.
Tuberville, who met with him today, said it doesn't bother him.
What I've talked to him about, what I've read, what I've studied, and been around him, I'll vote for him.
Hegseth is not the only contentious pick being weighed by Senate Republicans. Over the weekend, Trump announced his choice to lead the FBI, 44-year-old Kash Patel.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
Patel held leadership roles in defense and intelligence in the first Trump term and has promised to use the FBI to go after those he says have targeted Trump.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes.
All of these picks will have to undergo confirmation hearings in the new year. And because Republicans will have just a slim majority in the Senate, each nominee can only afford to lose a handful of Republican votes. Tonight, one of those Republicans, Maine's Susan Collins, says she doesn't know enough about Kash Patel to make a decision. And interestingly, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina says he does know Patel, but wouldn't reveal which way he's leaning.
I don't know, man. Why would you pick people that you know have these types of scandals? You would pick somebody like Pete Hegseth, who you know has allegations like this. You had to have known. Or you just don't care that his business will be put out there. You're like, I'll get another one. Okay. Now, here's something else that could actually hurt his chances. Okay. All right. So now there's a resurfaced video of Pete Hegseth completely trashing Trump. A clip of the embattled defense secretary nominee may further sink his chances. Okay. Hold on a second. may further sink his chances of assuming the post. All right. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary nominee, called Donald Trump an armchair tough guy who's all bluster, very little substance. In a 2016 clip shared by CNN's Andrew Kaczynski on Tuesday, while the former Fox and Friends host wouldn't be the only potential Trump cabinet member to have trashed the president-elect in the past, the video reemerged at the sensitive time. Trump is reportedly a misconduct claim mounted against him. He's been accused of sexual assault and reached a settlement with his accuser while denying the allegation. The National Guard veteran was also forced to resign from 2 veteran groups for financial and sexual impropriety and repeatedly showed up for work at Fox News smelling like alcohol, according to reports. Clips dug up by Kaczynski won't help matters. It's typical Trump, all bluster, very little substance, Hegseth said on Fox News in March 2016. He talks a tough game, but then when pressed, he's an armchair tough guy. I hate to say it, but this is a guy who said that John McCain is not a war hero, yet he sought his own 5 military deferments. It's true. In 2015, footage also show on CNN Tuesday, Hegseth said you wouldn't want a top-tier presidential candidate getting all of their military advice from watching Meet the Press. There's a lot more nuance. There's a lot more detail. Foreign policy and national security is not about TV shows. All right. CNN said a spokesperson for the Trump-Vance transition team provided a statement defending Hegseth's past comments on Fox News as a Fox News host. Let's watch it. All right, let's see. Okay, it is not working. Okay, here we go. Keep going. All right. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Trump opponent in the primaries who's spoken ill of the president-elect, is reported to be a top candidate to possibly replace Hegseth. Okay. Well, that shouldn't be a problem since that dude is basically a Trump copy. All right. It's basically let's just say that. So let's hear what Russia TV has to say about Trump's picks. Let's see what they have to say. All right, here we go.
Личная команда идет вместе с Трампом. Пустить. Они Америку за полчаса разберут на кирпичики. Ну прям молодцы. Вот номинант на пост главы ФБР Кеш Патель просто зажигает.
Следы ФБР стали чертовски большими. Самая большая проблема, вероятно, возникла из-за разведывательных служб. Я бы убрал этот компонент.
Hold on 1 minute. Let me play that back a bit. Hold on. All right. See if you guys can see it. Yep. Let's get into it.
Отличная команда идет.
What an excellent team is coming along with Trump. All right. Russian state media praises Kash Patel and other Trump picks. They are so great, they will quickly dismantle America brick by brick.
Вместе с Трампом. Пустить. Они Америку
If they're allowed to get in, they will quickly dismantle America brick by
за
brick.
полчаса разберут на кирпичики. Ну прям молодцы.
They are so great.
Вот номинант на пост.
Trump's nominee to head the FBI, Kash Patel,
ФБР Кеш Патель просто зажигает.
is simply on fire.
Следы ФБР стали чертовски большими. Самая большая проблема, вероятно, возникла из-за разведывательных служб. Я бы убрал этот компонент. Я бы закрыл здание ФБР Гувера в первый же день и открыл бы его на следующий день как музей глубинного государства. И я бы взял 7000 сотрудников, которые работают в этом здании, и отправил бы их ловить преступников по всей Америке. Будьте копами, вы же копы. Идите, будьте копами. Юстиция такая же история. Что все эти люди здесь делают? Приводите правильных людей, также нужно урезать правительство.
Ну, красавчик. Очень хорош.
Кеш Патель, да? Вот взяли его сейчас, его планируют, этого парня. Я его тоже лично, я полностью за то, чтобы он пришел вместо Кристофера Рэя в ФБР. Это еще один человек, там один такой же уже будет.
This is some sad crap, man. I mean, Russia just mocking the U.S. government. Okay. They know Trump is a clown. They know he's a clown. They know he can't be trusted. They know he's a. I mean, I'm starting to believe what was been put online about Trump, that in the 80s he was a Russian asset from the 80s. I'm starting to believe that, and I will try to look into that to find out more. You want to say the Democrats are dirty? Yeah, they are. But so are the Republicans. Trump aide caught selling positions in administration. Breaking news. Trump aide Boris Epshteyn allegedly tried to sell access to Donald Trump as well as positions in the incoming administration for up to $100,000 a month. Not even the White House yet, and the scandals keep coming.
I do not want to hear a single fucking Republican, a single conservative, a single MAGA, whatever the hell y'all want to call yourselves. I do not want to hear a single one of you talking about the deep state and the corruption when these motherfuckers are in here auctioning off official seats. Are you kidding me? Y'all are not even in the White House yet, and you're auctioning off positions of power? Like this is a motherfucking storage unit and somebody didn't pay their storage? Are we looking at the same stuff right now? And conservatives keep doing the whataboutism, the both sides isms. They're not the same. Stop with that shit.
They are the same. It's just a different way of doing things. All right. Even Malcolm X talked about the Democrats and Republicans. One's the wolves, which is the Republicans. The sly fox is the Democrats. They have a different way of trying to destroy you. The goal is basically to destroy, especially black people. Donald Trump's team, okay, moves to indoctrinate students by forcing them to pray for Trump. Soon it's going to be from forcing to pray to praying to Trump. I'm telling you that now. That's what it's going to be like.
Donald Trump's team has sunk to a brand new low, and you are not ready for this one. Donald Trump's leading contender for Secretary of Education, Ryan Walter, who is also the superintendent of Oklahoma schools, the one who wants to put a Bible in every classroom, now wants to lead children in a prayer for Donald Trump every day at school. That's right. Not only do they want your kid to pray in school, they want that prayer to be for Donald Trump. Take a listen.
I pray for our leaders to make the right decisions.
I pray in particular for President Donald Trump.
Right. So that's what we're doing now. Now we are going to pray for Donald Trump. In fact, this right here is the definition of indoctrination. Something that MAGA and Trump supporters told us they were completely against. They did not want anybody indoctrinating our children. And this right here is the ultimate. It's almost saying to you, you know what? We are going to raise an entire generation to be Trump supporters. You might not be, but your child will. And we have decided this is a new low for Trump and his team.
I mean, this is a man that admires dictators. He admires dictators. Okay? In the Helsinki meeting, right? A journalist escaped Russia because his reporting got Russia exposed and put on sanctions. Trump offered to have that journalist handed back to Russia. He loves dictators. He wants to be a dictator. He woed about how he wants soldiers like he wants a military like the mustache man. Okay? He idolizes the mustache man. This is going to be a rough 4 years, people. A rough 4 years. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Anything you want to know about this channel in the description box. Hard Talk Radio, live in 4K. Peace out.